Soho, one of the most dilapidated sections of the city. Soho, south of Houston Street. Just this side of hell. Your kind of place. You heard. Your silence as a weapon. They fear it, even as they fear you. He turns to run. He won't escape you that easily. None of them will. His spinal column snaps like a twig. You are Shadowhawk.
What is going on, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, the video series of We Talk Comics, and welcome to the first video in a new segment I'm titling Who Is? This segment seeks to take a closer look at comic book characters as well as their history. And I figured the best way to kick off this particular segment is one of my personal favorites, Shadowhawk. But since the mantle of Shadowhawk has been held by quite a few over the years, I'm going to be first taking a look at the original Shadowhawk, Paul Johnstone. Shadowhawk was created, written, and illustrated by Jim Valentino, one of the founders of Image Comics. He was first teased in the pages of the Malibu Sun Preview magazine in May 1992, with his official first appearance being in the second issue of Youngblood in June 1992. And just 2 months later, Shadowhawk's first official standalone comic titled Who is Shadowhawk would hit the stands. And this first collection of Shadowhawks was a 4-set mini-series where, as the title suggests, would look at Shadowhawk and his exploits, but also asking the question, who is Shadowhawk, as there was a bit of a mystery surrounding the identity of the character. And this first series would wrap up in March of 1993, where just a few months later in May begins Shadowhawk 2, which was a 3-part limited series. And this was also the series where Shadowhawk's identity would be revealed as Paul Johnstone. And then again, after some months, Shadowhawk 3 would begin in November of 1993 with another 4-issue mini-series, with the exception of number 4 this time being dubbed as issue number 11. Because around this time, Shadowhawk was segueing into an ongoing series, so they decided just to take Shadowhawk 3 and just tie it into that. Which means the next book would continue with issue number 12, and this ran until May 1995, ending with issue number 18. And it would also be within the confines of this particular story that the character Paul Johnstone would unfortunately meet his end. And it would be a number of years before the character would be resurrected again. Which brings us to May 2010, beginning the start of Shadowhawk Resurrection, where this story ran for 5 issues and concluded December 2010. The Shadowhawk series would then go on hiatus after this, and we wouldn't get any more. So now that we've had a bit of a history rundown on the comic side, let's get into the character Paul Johnstone. So Paul Johnstone was a district attorney who always kept his nose clean. His brother, however, was a different story, who became addicted to drugs, and due to this lifestyle, allowed some gangsters to try and leverage Paul to pardon some of their own off from a prison sentence. Paul, of course, refused, which led to an altercation where he was injected with the HIV virus, and upon waiting for his test results, word in his workplace began to spread, leading to an altercation with a coworker, resulting in him being fired and placed in jail. And it was after getting out, he received confirmation that he was HIV positive and fell into a depression. And so, while out walking to clear his head, Paul was threatened by some gang members, where he went berserk attacking them, which led to them beating him down, landing him in the hospital. And it was during this time that his friend, a police officer named Christina Reed, who had been kicked off the force that very day, had told Paul about an exoskeleton suit she had been developing with a man named Carlton Sun. And after getting out of the hospital, he accepted the suit, which enhanced him with augmented strength and agility, as well as being bulletproof, and thus he became Shadowhawk, deciding to use what time he had left to dispatch justice against those who preyed upon the weak. And it was also around this time that Paul had began taking a pill which slowed his reaction to the HIV virus. And during his early outings, he became infamous for being excessively brutal, not killing, but breaking the spines of the criminals he faced. And also, during his initial time as Shadowhawk, Paul battled many foes and even crossed paths with other Image heroes and teams, including Spawn, Savage Dragon, Bloodstrike, Supreme, and he even joined the group Brigade. And then, all of his adventures thus far culminated with a final confrontation against the villain Hawkshadow, a racist murderer who initially believed Shadowhawk to be an ally, until Shadowhawk revealed his identity to the villain, in which Paul's mother became a target, and luckily, Paul was able to save his mother's life. Unfortunately, the battle had worn him out, in which the police had captured him, where he was then transported to a hospital, where he succumbed to his disease. It would then be 15 years before Paul Johnstone's fateful return in Shadowhawk Resurrection, which was comparatively similar to the first series in that it was a mystery of sorts, asking questions like, where is the previous Shadowhawk, Eddie Collins, and how exactly did Paul return from the dead? The fifth issue would answer these questions, as during an event known as Image United, Eddie Collins was knocked unconscious, leading to him being comatose, and to save his son, Eddie's father sacrificed his life to the Nomo, an ancient force that binds all Shadowhawks together, effectively trading places with Paul in the afterlife. Paul's story would then come to a close, as the character has not resurfaced since this final issue. So Paul Johnstone as Shadowhawk has definitely had a very interesting history. Shadowhawk, I would say in general, has had a very interesting history, as the character started off as more of the street level type of crime fighter, but as the series progressed on, it quickly took a sort of mystical route. Which, if you read the series from start to finish, it's definitely a change in the presentation and I guess just sort of overall tone of the characters. Whereas Paul was this early 90s, just hyper violent, almost Punisher crossed with Batman style of crime fighting, where he would just brutalize the criminals but wouldn't kill them, versus the Eddie Collins era, which felt more like a little bit of Shadowhawk trying to be Spider-Man. And I will say, I do prefer the former, where Shadowhawk was just first starting out, as I liked the mystery concepts, and then eventually I really liked Paul Johnstone's reveal. And I do wish that Jim Valentino would return to the Shadowhawk character, because I do feel like there are more stories to be told with Paul Johnstone and the Shadowhawk legacy. But now my question is to you, have you read Shadowhawk? Did you like Shadowhawk? And hey, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, head down to the comment section and let me know what characters you want to see next. And don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.